pleasant good morning, everyone, members of the Federal Cabinet and the National Assembly, members of the Diplomatic Corps, permanent secretaries and other senior government officials, representatives of the media and other specially invited guests, as well as nationals and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis. A pleasant good morning to you. I'm happy to welcome you to this, another press conference, which is being held by the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. The Prime Minister is hosting this press conference today from the National Emergency Management Agency headquarters, also known as the NEMA headquarters in Limekeel. And it is being carried live on several radio stations to ensure there's as wide a reach as possible. So, our media partners for this press conference who are carrying it live this morning are Freedom FM, Sugar City FM, Vaughan Radio, Win FM, ZIZ Radio, as well as social media platforms of the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service, also known as SKNIS. Their YouTube channel and Facebook pages should be carrying this press conference live, in addition to ZIZ, or national media entity, who carries it live on all their platforms, Facebook and YouTube as well. While Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris makes himself available to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to discuss issues of national importance with them through his program, his interactive program, Leadership Matters, at these press conferences, he makes himself available to members of the media. And so he will be giving updates on various sectors of the economy, following which the representatives of the media houses who are here will be allowed a chance to ask questions, and there are usually no limits to the questions they can ask. I just want to use this opportunity to say that we appreciate our media houses and those who take the time to attend these press conferences. We know a number of persons were ill at the last press conference, so I'm quite pleased to see such a strong showing here this morning from our local media houses. I just wanted to let you know we appreciate you and say welcome back. So at this moment, we are going to invite the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, to make his opening remarks. So can we welcome the Prime Minister?
My fellow citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, it's a privilege for me to again communicate with you on the many positive developments taking place in our federation. For these things and more, I give God thanks. I thank Him for choosing Team Unity to lead our country for such a time as this, the most challenging period in the last century. Though the challenges are great, my confidence in our collective abilities as a people to move safely out of the shadow of the global COVID-19 pandemic remains strong. Today, I will focus on our efforts to put our economy back on track and restore it to record levels of sustained growth with clear results, such as more jobs for our people, more money in the pockets of our workers, and a higher degree of security and protection for all in society. We are investing in our people and getting our economy on a positive track. I want to now turn to the results of our second stimulus package, which is a critical component of your government's efforts to ensure that all our people withstand the adverse economic impact of the pandemic. This stimulus package has, over the last 3 months, brought significant relief to thousands of citizens and residents and created a welcome lifeline for many who are displaced as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. Our income support package has provided critical assistance to 3,025 persons at a cost of $7.9 million to date. Another batch of applications is having a second review to ensure that every citizen and resident who qualify for the various forms of support receive this assistance. Many persons have taken the time to call me and other cabinet colleagues to express thanks for this relief. The $1,000 paid over the last 3 months have helped to preserve the dignity of those who lost their jobs and remain unemployed for on their table. For others, it was their rent being paid and their utilities being paid. For others still, it was the opportunity to invest in their children, particularly in getting them ready for the reopening of our school. A significant number of families with persons living with disabilities receive well-needed support. So far, 155 families were assisted with a total payout to date of $325,500. To date, 109 bus operators have received support amounting to $129,800 over the last 3 months. The fuel subsidy has been a welcome relief to our bus operators. This subsidy has allowed them to defray the high cost of fuel and stabilize the costs of public transport. My government wants our people to earn more from sustainable, permanent jobs and from self-employment. We will therefore continue our efforts to further open up the economy in the safest way possible to allow more persons to earn a livelihood. In this regard, I am pleased to report that the National COVID-19 Task Force has this week advised that protocols have been approved to facilitate the safe operations of the following: hair braiding, ATV operations, beach massages, lunch and half-day island tours, independent tours pre-booked online, panoramic beach tours such as those put on by Kenville Richardson, panoramic full island tours such as those put on by Annie Fontaine, panoramic half island tour, beach break to Carambola, Roosevelt Special and plantation tours. With an anticipated significant uptick in cruise tourism, more persons shall benefit with greater opportunities to earn income. All operators must be vaccinated and must comply with the COVID-19 protocols. I encourage every adult to get vaccinated and every parent and guardian to ensure that as many persons 12 years and older in their care or are part of their household, they encourage them to get vaccinated. Vaccination is our most powerful tool in the fight against COVID-19, and it allows us to safely re-engage, notwithstanding COVID-19. Our investments in procuring vaccines are an investment in our people, their health, their protection, and their livelihoods. It was also an investment in getting our economy back on track with a healthy workforce and a healthy society. For the year so far, the outturns of the key sectors of our economy have been quite positive. This is a good indication that we are on the right track for recovery. I will now give a succinct overview of some of these sectors or economic drivers. I turn to agriculture and the fisheries subsectors. These have showed some of their best performances in a long time. Crop output has increased by 15%, totaling 1.9 million pounds for the period January to September 2021 compared to the same period in 2020. The dollar value of crop output was estimated at $6.8 million at the end of September 2021. Livestock production recorded 165,800 pounds. This was up 9% over the comparative period. This year compared to January to September. $1.2 million worth of lobsters was landed. We have on record 1,301 fishers at this time in 2021. Last year, we had 1,235 registered fisherfolk. My government has provided good support to our fishers and their procurement of inputs such as fishing wire and fishing rope, etc. I want to call on all our fisherfolk, our farmers, and indeed every self-employed person to register as self-employed persons with the Social Security Board. By doing so, you will help to protect yourself against future adversities and secure a pension. This is without a doubt a step towards securing a stronger and safer future for yourself. Turning briefly to the manufacturing sector, this sector continues to show signs of resilience. Employment remains relatively stable, at just around 1,200. Export data reflect $54 million in CIF values for the period January to October 2021. Our enclave manufacturing entities like Cajola Cristado, Jaro Electronics, the Carib Brewery, St. Kitts Rum Company, and Contec are the principal exporters and record. Turning to the tourism sector, for the year so far we have witnessed a steady improvement in stay-over arrivals to St. Kitts and Nevis. Indeed, compared to last year, the fourth quarter in particular, arrivals are significantly higher. Truth be told, after March 2020, there was little or no tourism business, as our borders were closed as a necessary measure to contain the pandemic. It was not until October 31st, 2020 that we reopened fully. With quarantine now reduced effectively to 24 hours, we expect to see continued improvements in visitor arrivals going into 2022. Thankfully, the cruise sector, which was devastated in 2020 as a consequence of the pandemic, has in the last few months been showing positive signs of a rebound. I was happy to join our Minister of Tourism on Monday this week to welcome the luxury cruise line Viking Orion on its inaugural call to St. Kitts. We anticipate, you would have heard yesterday, 27 ship calls for November 2021 with an estimated 71,775 passengers. The preliminary projections for December are even better. Our future growth will also be positively impacted by a successful build-out of our medicinal cannabis industry. Cabinet this week agreed to solidify our efforts at building out this industry. These efforts will be pursued by the Cannabis Authority, which will have a core team of committed professionals and a consultant to implement government's plan in this area so that the stronger, safer future is delivered as promised. I want to turn briefly to the entertainment industry. During our last election campaign, the Team Unity administration proclaimed that we will build out an entertainment industry and to ensure maximum benefits are delivered to our people, a new ministry would be established to implement government's vision for the new sector. No sooner than we were elected, we created the Ministry of Entertainment, Talent Development, and Entrepreneurship. Our manifesto commitments then are being fulfilled, and it is a sign of our focused attention on our people's progress and development, even at a very challenging time. Managing a country during this pandemic is by no means an easy task. By the end of 2020, according to the IMF, our beloved St. Kitts and Nevis had the best record of management of the COVID-19 pandemic. Your government has remained committed to preserving life and livelihoods during this pandemic. It is our superb management that led Philip Martinez of MSR Media to come to St. Kitts and Nevis to produce his films. Before MSR Media came to the Federation, St. Kitts and Nevis was fortunate to have its first movie for 2021 being filmed at the Park Hyatt Hotel. The first episode of Below Deck, filmed in St. Kitts, was aired on Monday night, giving not just our host island St. Kitts, but the entire Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis amazing positive exposure, introducing not just the island of St. Kitts, but the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to an audience of millions. The reality is that when St. Kitts rises, the whole Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis benefits, and the inverse is also true. When Nevis rises, the entire Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis benefits. This is true because we are one federation, one destination, but most importantly, we are one people. So I advise that we will continue to work together as one. Similarly, we anticipate that the airing of films produced by MSR Media on the island of Nevis will positively impact not just the island of Nevis, but the entire Federation. Again, I remind us all, we are one people, one federation, and we must cooperate even more for mutual advancement and development. Interestingly, in a very difficult year, God smiled on us, brought a blessing out of the misfortune of the pandemic. So the first international movie, Below Deck, was produced in St. Kitts. The second, third, and fourth movies were produced on our sister island of Nevis. And the fifth movie is to be filmed here on St. Kitts. Our country is moving in the right direction, and benefits will accrue to all our people with more jobs, more incomes, new careers, and a chance to further develop their talents. Last Saturday's media announcement by the principal of MSR Media of its intention to do 5 movies on St. Kitts starting in November must be very good news for all patriots of our federation. Mr. Martinez could have taken these 5 films to any other country, Barbados, Dominican Republic, Antigua next door, Aruba, or any other, but he chose our federation, thereby increasing jobs here, bringing visitors to our federation, and keeping the spotlight on the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as a whole. More movie producers will come to St. Kitts and Nevis. We can realize a sustainable movie industry with year-round production, creating sustainable jobs, higher incomes for our people, new opportunities for our artists, our videographers, photographers, movie crew, event planners like Vaughan Anslin, caterers, etc. Right here in our federation, our creative young people will get real-life experiences working with acclaimed professionals associated with MSR and other producers to come. This situation is expected to yield significant benefits for all our people. And as we speak to developments in the movie industry, I must congratulate Nigel Lewis, Chukapo, and his licensing deal. His film, A Rose Between the Thorns, now has international recognition, and he is making his mark as a producer. I turn briefly to the issue of security, and I extend my sympathies to the families, both on St. Kitts and Nevis, who have recently lost loved ones due to acts of violence. I promise that our security forces will continue to work diligently and that they will leave no stone unturned in the efforts to bring the perpetrator or perpetrators to justice. And my government will continue to provide excellent support to our law enforcement agencies. We appeal to anyone with information on any criminal activity to provide that information to our police or to a responsible adult for onward transmission to the police. I want now to turn to the issue of support to the island of Nevis. Our unity government is committed to a stronger and safer future for all our citizens and residents on the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have already created historic feats just in the short of 6 years. We are the first federal government to provide regular, periodic transfer of resources to the Nevis Island administration. Over the last 6 years plus, our budgetary transfers to the NIA have exceeded over $260 million. We have paid double salaries to the public sector workers at Nevis, for example, the NIA employees, the NEVLEC employees, NASPA, in the same manner that we have done for those federal workers on St. Kitts. We have supported home reconstruction in Nevis post-Hurricane Irma. We pay all the step workers in Nevis. We pay PAP beneficiaries on Nevis their monthly stipend. We jointly order pharmaceuticals for both islands. We pay the economic costs of our students from Nevis and St. Kitts studying abroad. Nevisians participate in equal measure in the special mortgage facilities funded by the federal government. These additional benefits to the $260 million is valued well in excess of $60 million. Additionally, the SIDF on the Team Unity has provided over $61 million in financial assistance to the NIA for the construction, for example, of the Treasury Building, the expansion of the Alexander Hospital, the developments at the Mondo Track, and we could go on enumerating a number of significant developments in Nevis that has been facilitated for the first time in history by the federal government. All these developments, in my view, indicate that our Team Unity government is working for all our people, and the people of Nevis, like the people of St. Kitts, are benefiting from Team Unity. The delicate balance that we have managed so far is to ensure that both islands are further developed and advanced, and that our people in both islands enjoy the stronger, safer future we promise. Therefore, we have continued to provide the historic and unprecedented levels of support to Nevis. We appreciate and welcome the support given by the NIA to members of our Defense Force who for several years helped to preserve law and order in Nevis. This again is an historic change. In the past, soldiers were never welcome in Nevis in this manner. This is a change to be protected and defended by all patriots of St. Kitts and Nevis. Successive administrations, led by the Honorable Premier Vance Amory and now the Honorable Premier Mark Grantley, have publicly noted that Nevis has had its best support from the federal government on the Team Unity. We have certainly come a long way from that Wednesday when the checks for the NIA were bounced. It is important that we continue on this path and we consolidate the gains. We will do this working together. Working together, we shall achieve more. Indeed, the concept of unity is reinforced in Psalm 133. How pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. I leave the rest of that for those who are inclined to pursue the readings of Psalm 133. Our relationship, however, the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis must not be defined solely in monetary gains or in monetary terms. Certain elements of our relationship can never be monetized. The strong, amicable relationship between our people, the ease of doing business on any of our island by our citizens and residents, the synergies between our twin island states as we work together are matters to be cherished, even if we cannot put a dollar value to them. I pledge as the Prime Minister to continue to work in the best interests of all the citizens of St. Kitts and those on my father's land of Nevis. Together, working together, our team unity government shall deliver with the full cooperation of our citizens and residents the stronger and safer future. I want to thank the media for coming and to thank the cabinet colleagues who have worked with me over the last 6 years to consolidate the gains, to bring a better St. Kitts and Nevis for all of us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I want to recognize the Honorable Attorney General. I recognize the Honorable Eugene Hamilton. I recognize the Honorable Wendy Phipps. I recognize the Honorable John L. Powell. I want also to recognize His Excellency, Mr. Vance Amory, our Ambassador Extraordinary, who then, in the first administration of Team Unity, served as a senior minister and who gave me incredible support in my role as Prime Minister. So I want to thank you for the source of stability and wisdom that you so often provided. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. I must commend our Ambassador Michael Powell, who had been one of those persons who consistently articulated well in favor of unity. It was the answer to the present, and it still remains the answer for the future. I want to recognize here our Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Dr. Bernicia Nisbet, and to thank her for her support and the contribution she has been making to our parliamentary life. Our parliament is now meeting regularly, and there is no motion of confidence being held in abeyance. Indeed, we have passed a law to ensure that never again will we have a motion of confidence conveniently delayed for 26 months. Let me thank all the civil servants who are here, the senior officials who over the last 6 years have been provided tremendous support to the government in implementing the will of the people as we have articulated them in our Team Unity Manifesto. I want to thank the Financial Secretary for her hard work. And up to yesterday after 6, I am advised, she, the Cabinet Secretary, the Deputy Financial Secretary and her team continue to engage other public servants and certain matters we had left pending at the end of our budget estimates meeting on Monday. I want to thank them. I want to thank our Commissioner of Police, Mr. Hilroy Brandy, for his work and for the sense of stability he has brought in the arena of law and order. And he knows he has my ongoing and continuing support, as do all the heads of the various entities in law enforcement. Let me also recognize our National Security Advisor, Major General Stewart, and to thank him for his support in this critical area, because law and order, security is the most fundamental rationale for government. Without security, nothing happens. There is no future, there is no present. We become a failed state, like Haiti is being described at, or Sudan now. Law and order is critical to the delivery of the safer and stronger future. I want to thank all the others who are here from the health sector and from the various other ministries. I say thank you for coming and for your contribution. I recognize the PS of Agriculture, who has been doing so far a very good job in bringing the stimulus package to the people, to the farmers and to the fishers. I want to recognize the Director of Tourism, and I welcome back Dr. Hazel Laws. At our last edition of Leadership Matters, someone asks whether you will return. I promised him that you love your job so much that you certainly will. And so now I'm seeing you. I hope that that person is listening and feel a sense of assurance that all will be well in our delivery of health care. So thank you all very much for listening and for participating and for committing to do the very best for this country that we love. Do the very best, notwithstanding your circumstances. Ambassador Harper reminded me quite often that we as Caribbean people must always do the very best we can today, not tomorrow. We must do the very best we can today with what we have today. And that is the challenge for all of us. Sometimes we are waiting for tomorrow or next week or next month to do the best that we can. Doing the best that you can does not require of you to have all that you need. You must do the best that you can with what you have today. With those words, I want to pause and allow members of the media to pose any questions that they may have. I must apologize for the absence of Premier and Foreign Minister Mark Grantley, who is in Europe. I want to apologize for the absence of Minister Eric Evelyn, who is in Scotland, attending the Climate Change Summit taking place at this moment in time.
Good morning, Prime Minister.
Good morning.
Good morning, Prime Minister, and the other members of your government. My first two questions relates to the economy. You have mentioned some of the progress that has been made so far. Notwithstanding that, we have had a situation where revenues have declined during the COVID-19 lockdown periods, while you have issued various stimulus packages to help persons and to help business. The question therefore remains, is it likely that in the coming fiscal year that citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis will see increases in taxes or new taxes being introduced? That's my first question. Secondly, can you confirm if there is any truth that some employees of the National Bank were either sent home or terminated because they were not vaccinated? If this is the case, what is government's position or view on such a situation, given that the government is a major shareholder of the bank, that the government has not introduced any policy of termination for its own civil service, and that could we expect to see such actions being taken in statutory corporations belonging or associated with the government? Those are my first two questions.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
A pleasant good morning to everyone. Shani Carvey from ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation. My two questions so far is health related, so I'm sure the health officials here could probably assist me. First one, are there any plans to source the Merck & Co. COVID-19 antiviral pills to treat the COVID patients here in the Federation? Secondly, a group of FDA advisors on Tuesday approved the use of the Pfizer vaccine for the inoculation of children ages 5 to 11. Already, I believe Guyana is already considering to roll this out to that group starting next week, I believe. So is there any considerations being made to inoculate this age group here? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Devon Cornelius, WinFM. This one is in relation to education. When will the Ministry of Education officially announce the CXC results? The next question is, what is the status on the investigation into the Hush Puppy scandal? And the final question, police have told WIN that investigations have begun into customs officers that were accused of stealing money and altering declarations in the system to be one item when there was something else. What is the status of that investigation? Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
Good morning, LaShawn Dixon, St. News Observer. My two questions. Are there any government concerns regarding supply chain shortages globally, and what are the plans to help people cope?
Sorry, could you maybe go slower?
Sorry.
Your voice is a bit muffled.
Are there any concerns regarding supply chain shortages globally by the government, and what are the plans to cope with them and alleviate any such problems locally? And secondly, what are the plans to fully reopen the economy of St. Kitts and Nevis?
Lesroy Williams, the Government Information Service. I have three questions. Two of them are for the Prime Minister, and one is for Minister Grant. The first one, with the economy having taken a serious blow from the COVID-19 pandemic, what is your expectation, your vision for the upcoming budget in December? The second question, given that we are not a welfare state, because welfare states are heavily taxed, how much longer can the government afford to give stimulus packages? That's the second one. The third question for Minister Grant, taxi drivers are complaining that they are not benefiting from the bubbles that have been implemented at Port Zante, but that the big tour operators, such as Cantours and the Scenic Railway, they are benefiting. What is being done to help the smaller man working in the tourism industry?
We will pause to answer these questions, this first round, just to get some order. The Dr. Hazel Laws will deal with the health matters. The health minister is on her way. So we'll get Dr. Laws at that point to deal with the issues of the vaccines. And of course, the security personnel will deal with the security matters. And we will have the Attorney General address some, and I'll give some reflections on the issue to do with the full opening of the economy. The budget matter, I will give some reflections, and I will invite our Financial Secretary